Now, I've become something of a defender of the Chardonnay grape. You may have heard of the ABC Club, the Anything But Chardonnay Club. It's a kind of joke term that was coined to refer to the large number of people who loved Chardonnay in the 1990s. They loved the new style of Chardonnay that we saw from the Southern Hemisphere, wines with loads of tropical fruit sweetness, not much acidity, and lots of oak to add layers of vanilla and coconut into the mix. Now, this big style of very crowd-pleasing wine was enormously popular, but people grew tired of the style. There were too many wines which really didn't offer an awful lot of sustained drinking pleasure after a while, and the initial romance wore off and people turned to other grapes and turned their back on Chardonnay. Now, that's really a great pity, because it wasn't really Chardonnay that people fell out of love with. It was just that style. The wines that didn't have acidity, that had too much oak, that had too much sweetness. And in fact, Chardonnay makes some amazing wines. Now, I might be onto a bit of a losing battle here, trying to persuade you to try a Chardonnay again if you are one of the ABC Club. But this wine is one which I think could just do it. This is the Errazuriz Wild Ferment Chardonnay 2010 from the Casablanca Valley in Chile, and it's on sale for around about £11 in some supermarkets and a number of independent retailers, and a list of those is coming up at the end of the video. Now, the Casablanca Valley is one of the cooler regions in Chile, but also this particular wine, the Wild Ferment, is unusual in that the fermentation of the grape juice doesn't use cultured laboratory yeasts like most of the wine world does. They use yeasts that are guaranteed to make a very good ferment of the wine. Here they rely on the ambient yeasts, the yeasts that are on the skins of the grapes that are around in the winery, to start the fermentation. And what that does is it adds complexity and adds unusual little notes, especially to the aromatics of this wine, that I find are absolutely fabulous and intriguing. It's also a philosophy, this wild yeast fermentation, that is growing quite rapidly, gaining acceptance quite rapidly in the wine world. So with this wine on the nose, it really is wonderful. It's an extremely expressive nose in this wine, the Chardonnay. It leaps from the glass. We have lots of kind of buttered popcorn and Brazil nuts and all of those kind of creamy, rich notes. They are all in here, and it is aged in French oak barrels, so you have that influence. But as well as that, there are wonderful complex notes, earthiness, herbiness, a really unusual set of aromas that come from this wild yeast ferment. And beneath it all, a lovely, pristine, creamy apple fruit quality that really is appetizing. On the palate, don't serve this wine too cold. It doesn't want to be in the fridge for 2 or 3 hours before serving it. Half an hour in the fridge, 20 minutes just to chill it down a little. That will allow the wonderful creamy texture of the wine to come through. There's a wonderful silkiness to this wine, as well as all those beautiful fruit flavours, allied to the crunch and the crispness of the acidity, the underlying oatmeal creaminess of the oak, and the whole complex balance of the wine that gives unusual notes, unusual flavours, but still that beautiful, pure core of fruit that makes it an arresting wine to drink and to taste. I think it's fabulous. It's very Burgundian in style, and it's very old world in many ways in style. But it's brimming with flavour, lovely texture, and clean as a whistle on the finish, with that acidity that will make it a great partner to foods. You could match this with roast chicken for sure, with those quite robust dishes. With any fish and creamy sauces, it would go with seafood, perhaps gnocchi or risotto with some seafood in it, something that gives it a little bit of creaminess too. It has richness, it has weight, but it has clarity. So, one for the ABC Club. I hope that some of you will try it and that you will be convinced that this is a wine which has fruit, which has oak, but it has terrific precision and style too. This is the Errazuriz Wild Ferment Chardonnay from the 2010 vintage, made in the cool coastal Casablanca Valley in Chile and on sale for around about £11 in a variety of merchants. I'm not one of the ABC Club, not with wines like this around. It's my wine of the week.